The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. The second factor is the services we use. This encompasses... Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
You may say, Pastor, why are you reading this? Because people, the only way this can happen, if you give up your firearms, rights to have a firearm. The masses, the nations, the citizens of these nations, when they take away their arms, prepare yourself for depopulation. Welcome to the Pastor's Chronicles.
First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. We could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
$10 billion over the next 10 years to make it the year of the vaccines. What does that mean exactly?
Well, over this decade, we believe unbelievable progress can be made, both inventing new vaccines and making sure they get out to all the children who need them. We could cut the number of children who die every year from about 9 million to half of that if we have success on it. And the benefits there in terms of reducing sickness, reducing the population growth, it really allows the society a chance to take care of itself once you've made that intervention. And the benefits there in terms of reducing sickness, reducing the population growth, But if we go back to the key metrics, which is what the foundation looks at on all its stuff, can we drop the number of children who die per year in half and get the reduction in sickness and population growth that comes with that? That is sort of front of mind all the time. Yeah. Get the reduction in sickness and population growth that comes with that. That is sickness and population growth that comes with that. That is.
We've seen now there's a type of foreign assistance for vaccines or for AIDS treatment that are incredibly effective. These are all about saving lives. And the good news is that as you make those breakthroughs, the population growth in the country goes down. These are all about saving lives. The population growth in the country goes down. The good news is the population growth in the country goes down.
Sickness and population growth that comes with that, that is reducing the population growth. We could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. These are all about saving lives. The population growth in the country goes down. The good news is the
population growth in the country goes down.
It really saddens me. It really does, because when you, the only thing the masses see is that you had this so-called mind troubled teen that they claim that have mental problems, opened fire and killed these young people and also some adults. That alone is a tragedy. You know, life is very, very, very precious. Once you take it, you don't get it back. And then comes judgment and things that happen when Christ comes back. And that's just a whole different story. Some people may have died in their sins. I mean, it's a sad thing, you know. But this is the double whammy about this situation. When you know that the troubles that be is somewhat created or somewhat put into operation, or planned and then put into operation. And usually the ones that's doing it, or doing the killings or the mass killings, are people that was kids that was disturbed, or, as I stated, kids that have been sold for the agenda. And so we playing right into their hands. But one thing about it, and I'm so grateful to God. And so many people say, well, why is God allowed? Where's God at? You know what? You would say, where God at, if he's forcing you to obey righteousness. You won't like that. You wouldn't like that either. You would complain that God is a tyrant. See, God is not a tyrant. He allows man to make his decisions. He put forth his words. He bring missionaries, and he show you through life, creation, that he's there. And he want people to obey his commandments, that righteousness will fill the earth. But that, on the contrary, man don't want to do that. Man wants to live independent from God. And so God allows man to exercise his own will. And this is the result of a sinful world exercising their own will. You have men who lust for power, lust for control over this world. They use things like this. They do things like this. They fabricate things like this. They create things like this. So the result would be an outrage. They have faith in their government, and so they want the masses to turn from the government to turn, and then they come with a solution. So much chaos. That's the rule of the order. Bring peace out of chaos, control opposition, create chaos, and come with a solution. Listen to this young woman.
In the government who are voted into power are lying to us. And us kids seem to be the only ones who notice and are prepared to call BS. Companies trying to make caricatures of the teenagers nowadays, saying that all we are is self-involved and trend-obsessed, and they hush us into submissions when our message doesn't reach the ears of the nation. We are prepared to call BS. Politicians who sit in their gilded House and Senate seats funded by the NRA telling us nothing could have ever been done to prevent this. We call BS. They say that tougher gun laws do not decrease gun violence. We call BS. They say a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun. We call BS. They say guns are just tools like knives and are as dangerous as cars. We call BS. No, they say that no law laws could have been able to prevent the hundreds of senseless tragedies that have occurred. We call BS! That us kids don't know what we're talking about, that we're too young to understand how the government works. We call BS!
You know, that brought chills to me. God knows, I just want to cry about the situation because we don't know what's happening, people. We don't know what's going on. The only thing we see is what we see before us with the natural eye. But there's a conspiracy. There's a power behind it all. And what they're doing, they want a uprising so they can bring in martial laws. I want you to understand that now you got celebrities coming up. You know, celebrities, they saying what they're saying, and basically what they're saying is about gun laws. Now, people, I want you to understand, I'm for gun laws, but people, listen to me. As long as there is a elite that's working forward to depopulate this world, to bring the citizens of each nation and submissive to a poor state where there's just rich and poor, it doesn't matter. It will be a massacre each year, several times a year. There will continue to be wars, there will continue to be diseases, there will continue to be pestilence and breakouts, famines. This will continue to happen because the world have rejected God. And why would God fight for a nation that have rejected him and substituted his will for Satanism? We have turned from God and we following after celebrities, stars, politicians, governors, leaders that's slamming God's will around, kicking around, scandalizing it. And you also got religious preachers, big time and televised preachers that they watering down the word of God. You got people who don't want to study the word of God. They want to be spoon fed. They want to drink milk. Listen, it is time to surrender our will to God. Or guess what? You're going to keep crying for gun laws, and to a point you're going to just, everybody going to be attacking the Second Amendment. And once they attack the Second Amendment, here comes slavery in the United States of America. So you got, these celebrities, the first thing they cry is gun control. Um, they blaming people, the government, which is they right in the sense of blaming the government because the government is bought out, people. Okay? We can't wait any longer. Gun control. And I'm trying to find a place where one celebrity said blame the NRA. So you see the attack is on the NRA. And the NRA knows exactly what's going on. Okay? Here you go, Patricia. So you got Britney Spears, then you go down to Patricia. She says, if people can blame drug dealers for drug problems, then we can blame the NRA for the mass shooting problems. Okay? This celebrity said, when will the GOP stop being owned by the NRA and finally do anything about it? You know, I'm gonna tell you something, people. I mean, this have you speechless because the attack is on the Second Amendment. That's what the attack is on. Now, let's find out what happens when a nation give up their arms to protect themselves. That's why why you think that's the Second Amendment out of all the other ones? Why you think that's the second one? It's very important because the founding fathers knew. They knew about the conspiracy. I mean, you look at the dollar bill, you see the Illuminati symbolisms on the back of the dollar bill. They knew about these powers that would come and infiltrate the United States of America. So they put that there so the United States of America can guard themselves from a government takeover. So it's more citizens than the army. You see? But if you take away their arms and the government, they have arms, then you're going to enslave the nation. Let's look at what happens when a nation give up their freedom of arms just to be protected by the government that who's been bought out by foreign rich rulers.